Hi, welcome back from the break. A little extended. There's some noise over here. Some noise. No, it's okay. So hi, welcome back. So we were into the next set of features which we are discussing using Google App Engine. One of them is mail sending and receiving. So I just showed you how we can create servlets to receive email. This was a plain text email which was received. Now we are going to see how we can get an HTML mail into Google App Engine to read it through a servlet. So what I have done, in the break was I was deploying the next application. So in this, what we are doing is so now what happens is that there are mails which are sent as HTML text. They have formatting, bold, italics, underline, etc. So to handle emails with HTML tags or rich formatting, you need to create multi-part. You need to use multi-part class. The multi-part class uses part class to store message in chunks. So the message which is coming will be stored using the part class, and to read the mail which is having rich format, you may write the following code which has got over here. From input stream we are getting the messages, we get the content, and if the content is of multi-part type, in the for loop we check how many parts are there using get count function, and using part multi-part content we get the parts into the string, and we can then display it or save it or whatever we want to do with it. We can use it to do it. We can do that. So I'll just show you the code and we'll execute one example of this. So your company has asked you to modify email demo application to fulfill the requirement that whenever you're getting the mails using multi-part, you can get the HTML mails also, and accept the incoming mails using multi-part class and write them to the log file. So we'll get this email demo, and then we have already got this email demo, and see how we can modify that to accept these kind of mails. So one is, you have a plain text mail. If content type is of string, log dot warning, received an email message, content type plus content. So what happens is, these days mails are sent both in HTML format as well as plain text together. So because mail readers are, some of them can only read plain text, some of them can read both. So when mail is sent with HTML content, it will come to this part, else if content instance of multipart, and it will say received multipart email message, and then so many parts are there of that message, and in a for loop it is going to get those parts from the mail, and over here we are taking those parts and storing them in a log file. Warning level, we are just putting a warning, W, warning. So this is the code for multipart, and while we had the break, I had already copy pasted the content and got this email demo working. So this is activity 11.3. So I have got this content with this is the sending part, then receiving mail. So I have already actually pasted this code for receiving multipart mail. Now let me deploy this. So the application is now deployed on Google App Engine, and this is the message I had received from the application. So I will reply to this, and the difference between the last part and this part is that now I can have bold, italics and all in my text. This is rich text email. This can have HTML tags, bold, italics. So we can make this bold, this as italics, and with this becomes a rich text email. I mean, by default this is a rich text email. Unless you choose this option and select plain text, this is a rich text email, even without the bold and italics. This is just to show that this HTML tags are being added onto this email. And now I can send this mail, which will be received by my app engine over here. There is a servlet which is running in the background, which is receiving the mails, and I can go to the logs here also if they've not ported here. So I have to go to that logs. So this is a rich text email which I have sent, and with bold, italics, and you can see over here the actual HTML coding, which is come. No, this is it. This is the okay. So this message is from application on App Engine. I had sent a mail earlier. So actually, it is having in between the previous quoted text also. So it's received the mail which has got HTML content. Earlier message was plain text. This message is having HTML. So there were two activities. One was plain text and one is rich text emails. Next, we come back to. We also should look at the one second. We should also look at the steps for doing this activity. So apart from the normal thing, you have to open appengine-web.xml and replace your app ID and also you have to ensure that this inbound service is started. Inbound service, mail service, inbound service is started by adding these lines in App Engine web.xml. So this is an important step. Open App Engine web.xml and add these three lines. Only then will you be able to receive emails. Is this clear? This is a very important step. Is this clear? So we can go ahead to the next part. Please click plus so that I know you are back and also listening. Great. So at least many of you are back and are listening. So now let's look at one more activity related to emails. So by default, the application does not receive bounce notification. Again, there is an inbound service mail_bounce /service. This tag has to be added in App Engine web.xml. This will enable the application to receive bounced emails. In web.xml, add the mapping that associates bounce URL. So there is a servlet which is handling the bounced mails, and for that there is a mapping URL _ah bounce. So that mapping is being done between the servlet and this URL, so that any mail which is bounced is handled by this servlet. And in this example which we'll see, this bounce servlet will save that message in the log file. So we will write a mail from this form. Let's say there is a form in this this we have in the first activity we have created a form. Let's say I send that using that form I send a mail to mail ID abc123@gmail.com which doesn't exist. Some ID which doesn't exist, and the mail gets bounced. So the bounced mail will come back and will get stored in this log file. See, why are we studying this mail? Mails is not important. What we are studying is feature of Google App Engine, that it can send mails, it can receive mail, it can receive bounced emails, and to do that there is configuration. The configuration is in the form of XML tags, and those XML tags have to be added. For example, in this case, in App Engine web.xml, you have to add these inbound service tags, and similarly for bounced emails, you have to add mail_bounce service tag in your application. So now we are seeing how to configure the engine. How to configure the engine for other activities apart from database related activities. We have seen enough yesterday and day before. Database related activities, how to insert data, update data, delete data, filter data, sort data, and all. That was related to data stores. Now we are moving to other features this App Engine has, and we are going more into depth of the different components, parts, etc. this engine carries. So we will see more demos and more features in the next chapters which are coming up. So we are at chapter 11. So there are some more chapters, around 5 more chapters. Each of them carry a different perspective or a different feature related to App Engine. It will be good for you to see those features and see how they are configured. Right now I am not worried with you to be able to be best in all of these features, but you should be aware that these features exist. It's like as a person who has opened the bonnet, like in the first day I was talking, now that you are seeing how the data is moving in the App Engine, what are the other parts? There can be some more parts under the hood. So what are those parts and how those are working? So one of the parts is related to emails. Then there are some more topics which have a different functionality. So I will come to that later, which are very interesting to see that for a engine these are the different things which are being done. So there are steps given to configure, but Do you want me to follow the steps, or you can just look at the answer? There are we can do both. So let's look at look at the steps. So it starts with you have a Gmail account, import a Google application, modify the servlet to handle bounce emails, and modify the configuration files. So, 1 second. Okay, so we take this project and import this. Okay, and we go to our task files. So I have imported this file. Now open bounce.servlet and add the following lines. So what are the lines to be added? So in a try block, we are getting the bounce notification, parsing the request. So we're getting the original text from the mail which has come, and we're logging it in the warning. And also here it's trying to put it in the notification warning that there is a mail which has got bounced. So this code So we have added the bound notification code. Next, email demo servlet, and replace this app ID with the actual ID where I'm going to host this. And this also will go in my web engine file. Also modify the app engine web.xml to enable mail bounce. So let's edit it with text editor. Currently there is service mail service. So here you have to add service mail bounce dash service. And that is what is being done in this over here sample file which is there. This line is being added in inbound service, and then in the web.xml the mapping is being done. So there is servlet which is mapping to this URL ah bounce star. So in this this is receiving mail mapping, servlet mapping. Currently it doesn't have anything to do with the bounce part, so copy this so bounce mail servlet is mapped to this URL. Save all the files and then deploy this onto the Google App Engine. After that, send a message to some address which doesn't exist, and we'll see that the mail getting bounced and come back as a log file over here. So the log file will be created once it is deployed, and I will use the form to send the mail. So over here in this, I will send a mail, let's say nit.abc123@gmail.com. Sorry, this is not the mail, this is name. Let's say Raj Kumar. Sample mail. Sample mail from App Engine to check bounce. Okay, so this is just a mail I am sending. So it says email is sent. However, since that address is not going to be existing, hopefully, we will get that message in the log file once we refresh it. So I have refreshed it and I can see a bounce mail message. Over here, this is the severity level of a log file. Whenever file is written in the log file, we define whether it's a info, debug, or error or critical, what type of what type of message it is, and we can then, based on the this type, we can also filter the mails. I mean, filter the log file and see the logs. So I'm just trying to see. I'm just trying to see if there is more information about that bounced mail. So probably after some time, this log will get updated when the bounce mail comes back. with the information that this has permanently bounced. There is a log viewer in developer console also. But doesn't seem to have much of information. Maybe they're still migrating from old version to new version of the consoles. There is an old version of the console which is running for them and which is here, and there is a new version of console. What you see over here, dash these are all cancelled. These are features probably they have managed to migrate to the new console which is here. This is the new console. And this used to be the older console, and wherever you see a striked out text, that means that particular feature has got migrated completely. And maybe after some time they may close this interface when everything is migrated to the new interface. So when bounce mail is coming, we are writing twice in the log file. One is the original message and the other is notification in this code. Log.warning original. Okay, so let's continue with the next part, which is so we discussed about mail services and how we can access and configure mails. The application might send email to notify users of system events or actions of other users. Sending and receiving email is similar to initiating an HTTP request. So to send a mail, you need to have sender address, recipient address, subject, message body, and attachment if any. And there is APIs, Java Mail API, which can be used to send emails, which is instance of internet address class. To set the address, the application calls the setForm method on the myMessage object. So the sender address must be Google account address of one of the application administrator, the address of the current signed-in user, any valid email receiving address from the app, like app ID, appspotmail.com. The replies to message sent by the application go to the sender address. The application can also send email with attachment by using the multi-part object. This we have not practically done. We have only done multi-part. There is a multi-part also, which is which will be making this possible that attachment can also be sent. So maximum size of mail which can be sent is 10 MB. The application can receive reply and bounce emails. The ability to receive mail in your application is disabled by default. To enable it, you have to update App Engine Web XML, and you also have to the received emails are sent to _ah mail /to address URL, where address is the email ID to which email has been received. You need to map a servlet for handling bounced emails. The bounced emails are sent to _ah bounce URL. This is done in mapping is done in web.xml. Okay, now are the small other parts of the App Engine. We have seen how the App Engine is storing data. We have seen how we are configuring the app, email address, or even we saw yesterday how we were creating indexes, etc. Now we will see different small controls of an App Engine. These are like features which you are seeing over here. We have seen, for example, the main parts of the App Engine, how to save and retrieve. Now we are looking at some more features like these nuts and bolts, which are present over here in the diagram. So what are the other controls? How can I make my App Engine better, optimize my app performance, things like that. So there is something called as memcache. Anybody has heard of it earlier? Identify the need of memcache and different types of memcache, and identify the memcache guidelines. Identify app stats dashboard and configure app stats dashboard. So now you would want to optimize the applications. So these are again new features for you guys and me also to study, and there are so when we talk about increasing the speed or enhancing the optimization of an application, these two features can be used, I would say. Supposing some amount of data is used many times, I mean it is static, and you need to probably just store it in the memory for some time and display it to the user, or use it for some time and then probably it can move to the data store. So you can put that kind of a data in memcache. So where can this memcache be used? For example, there can be a web page where, or a web application where there is an announcement to be made, something like next 2 hours there is a big sale which is happening, and after that 2 hours that message has to be removed away and some other message has to come in. So such kind of messages can be put in memcache, and they can be picked up later on from the memcache and displayed to the user very fast. So the data store retrieval may be taking more time, but information from memcache can be retrieved very fast. It's like a cache memory in your computer, RAM, and similar to that, this engine also has something called as a cache, which is called as memcache. So the information which you can keep in the memory. For example, memcache over here, it's a data store which is needed for following reasons: to achieve low latency rate and to reduce data store hits. So whenever you feel that your data store is just getting the same kind of information again and again from the cloud data store. For example, this message sale in the for every record or every web page which has to be displayed, it is fetching this message from cloud data store repeatedly, and it is taking more time to go to the data store and getting the data back to the users. Instead, the data can be stored in the memcache, and it can be retrieved from the memcache much faster and then sent to the user. So the latency means the time it takes to go to the data store and get the data back will be reduced by using memcache. It's like a buffer, temporary storage in between the App Engine and the cloud data store. So there is an App Engine application which is running. You have created that application, and in the back end there is a data store where data is stored, but you want the response to be very quick, so you can use memcache. The disadvantage is that the size of memcache is limited and shared. So I mean, it can be, you can pay for it, but it is limited in size. So it says this is the following figure displays how the data store hit reduces when all application instances use memcache data. So over here, applications, there are multiple instances of an application, so that data can be fetched faster. So every time an application has to go and get to the cloud data store, instead of going to cloud data store, let's say first application got the data, it can put it in memcache so that other applications can also fetch it from memcache instead of going to the data store. So why are these different application instances running? It may be that the server has got too much load. So the load is divided between different instances of the applications. However, there is one data store only which will take time to retrieve the data. So instead of going again and again to cloud data store, we can go to the memcache and reduce the hit rates to data store. So over here, this data which was fetched by this application instance 1 can be used to reduce the data store hits to data store, because if you can store this information over here in the memcache. So because memcache provides fast data read and write operations through memcache. So memcache is a key value pair data store which can put a value with a key and get a value with a key. So there is an index or a value key which can be used to store the data or retrieve the data. The following figure displays key value pair in memcache. So we'll see how to write a string or something into memcache and read the data from the memcache. So limitations are memcache is volatile, as it's a secondary storage, not durable, can even be evicted anytime. So data which is kept in memcache can be thrown out anytime. Memcache is not transactional, so you can't have transactions happening when data is present in memcache. Can be accessed simultaneously by multiple instances. So that's why the transactions are not possible, because you saw that many instances can be there when you are looking at this diagram. So many instances can be looking for the data. It's more of for reading the data rather than writing the data. Memcache is limited resource because of the size, etc. Stores the most frequently used data So it just stores the data which is used most frequently to speed up the transactions, and applies optimization techniques and uses the resource effectively. So Memcache classes supported by App Engine are shared Memcache and dedicated Memcache. So there are certain areas which are shared between different applications, or your application can have a dedicated Memcache. Dedicated Memcache costs money because it's expensive. Shared Memcache is free, but there is no guarantee that your data will remain in shared memory when it is being used. So there is no guarantee of performance or durability, etc. However, if you are willing to pay for it, there is 1 to 100 GB of Memcache available, and total 10K operations per second can be guaranteed. And we can configure Memcache through administrator console. So over here, this is the time required to get data from data store. So you can see the data, it's almost taking some 75 to 100 milliseconds or maybe. Measure data to query latency in milliseconds, yeah. So 75 to 100 milliseconds, in which it takes time, which takes. So over here, in case of Memcache, it is just taking somewhere around 3 to 9 milliseconds. Measures Memcache get latency in milliseconds, which takes about less than 10 milliseconds. So this is hardly 10 milliseconds, this is around 75 to 100 milliseconds to fetch the data. So when you are creating a Memcache, you must follow these kind of rules, that the key size must be 250 bytes or less, and key cannot contain null, or key must be byte array size. And the values which you are using, key and value pair, the values have guidelines that use integer values for manipulating with counter variable, and avoid using floating point variables. So these are the guidelines for read operations. Check if Memcache value exists. If it contains value, return that cache value. Otherwise, fetch the data from the data store and update Memcache. So if the request comes, let's say I want to get a value 50 from data store, and if that value 50 is not there in Memcache, it will go to data store and get that value. But once it has got that value in the Memcache, next time if some other person requests for that record, it will pick it up from Memcache and display. What about writing operations? The following guidelines is for the writing operations. So evaluate to validate the existing value in Memcache for a specific entry or entire Memcache. Otherwise, write a new value in the data store and update Memcache. So it will check whether we should whenever we are writing something onto the data store, it will check whether it exists in Memcache, and if it does, then it'll first update that in data store and then update it in the Memcache. The new value is taken and updated in the Memcache. So now let's see how programmatically we can access this. Following code illustrates use of methods that perform data read and write operations. So there is a Memcache service, which is point to get Memcache service, and memcache service dot put key value. This key value pair is something which is used to write to memcache, and this is to use to get values from the memcache. So instead of doing single read, you can even put the operations in a batch form so that even the optimization can happen. For example, instead of doing operation every time something is required, you can do a batch operation on the memcache for reading or writing multiple memcache entries. But the size of the batch should be less than 32 MB. Following guidelines deal with transactional events. So we can use log operations such as get identifiable and put I have untouched. Or you can use atomic operations such as increment and increment on. These are some advanced features of memcache. So supposing some data is stored in memcache, so if it has to be picked up, there is a non-blocking call for data store and memcache operation. Means that the operation doesn't stop and wait for the result to come back. It continues. The non-blocking means that I have sent a request to get the data and I will continue with my own task. When the data comes, then I will take an action. So this is called as non-blocking call. So it may get data from the memcache or the data store. Wherever it gets, I will not wait for the answer to come. I will continue with my processing. And about namespace, it categorizes memcache values into logical groups. So this is a display showing memcache usage detail using memcache viewer link. We will see over here how it looks like now. So here is the activity to write to memcache. So we'll see how to write to memcache and see how we can read the value in the memcache viewer. And this is the value which has been written. The web page should display the following message as the output while running the application on the local development server or Google App Engine. And then we come to abstracts. So let's do this activity now of writing to the memcache. So I'm not creating a new project, I use an existing one Let's create a new application, web application project. And call it Archie's Online Memcache. So in this this is a code to write to the memcache. So there is a memcache service, memcache factory, get memcache service. We create an object over here. Then there is an announcement, for example, to be made. This last chance to buy value for money, greeting card for your loved ones, only half the price. And this key is being made recent.key and memcache.put announce comma announce key comma announce text. This we are writing to the memcache, and then we are reading get announce key. We are reading back the value from the memcache and displaying it on the screen. So this is a simple servlet which will write a text into memcache and read it. So we will just update this. And we also have to import these classes. So once we have done this, so now let's deploy this. Before that, let me check whether I did change the ID or not. So let it deploy. So I have about 20 minutes or 15 minutes now. So this may be the last demo, or if possible we may be able to squeeze one more for the 12th chapter right now, which is what we are doing right now. Then there are 4 more chapters which have got 4 more features, which we will cover tomorrow, related to App Engine. So we have reached almost 3/4 of the course content. Please send me your attendance on email and let me also know your views on the course, what you have seen till now. Tomorrow timing is same morning. I have the studio from 8:30 to evening 5. So let's see till what time I am able to show you the demos of the remaining part. Okay, so it is deployed over here in the local. Oh, it is deployed on the server, and over here I can see the message last chance to buy. This has been coming. This message is coming from the memcache. We have written to memcache and I've got the value. I've got the value back. Okay, and okay, now very interesting. We are going again to open App Engine. We are opening now in the console, and we will see where this value is stored. So under the hoods of App Engine there is memcache over here, and you can see over here there is one item in the cache right now, and so there is a 100% hit over here. Supposing I run this again, so there are many times I have run this and I refresh this. So the 5 hits, 0 misses. So I have run it almost 5 times. So 5 hits were there. There is one item in this, and the item age when it was last used is 12 seconds. And also you can click on find the key, and key type I think is JavaScript string. And we had given in our program the key to be recent_key. So we will find this key. It has found this key in this memcache. You can see over here a link. Click over here and you can see the value which we had stored is now stored in the memcache. Last chance to buy value from money greeting cards, loved one, half price. So the code is nothing but it's just taken two strings and put it in the memcache, and over here we are reading it back from the memcache. But this is not the actual application of this memcache. This is used when some information which is required again and again, like a banner advertisement, last chance to enroll to NIT 31st of January, and this banner may change to next month and it is required to be served again and again on the websites. So in that case, those kind of messages can be put in Memcache and can be picked up by the browser or your application, and then the current message will be displayed. Is this clear? Memcache? Memcache, just say yes, no, yes. Very good. Only 2-3 people have understood. Okay, so and one person wants my NIT mail ID. My NIT mail ID is lokeshb@nit.com. I'll just write it over here. Sorry. I just was. But your mails, I want your attendance, not over here. Attendance, please send me at NIT Google App Engine 3 at gmail.com, and let me see how many of you have sent me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 13 or so is there. But these are not attendance. Actually, this is just your app. So you should actually send me a mail that this is attendance for such and such date. And something like this I want also for you guys to send me links of projects which you are deploying. That will make me more confident that you are able to deploy applications. Yeah, so you should send me such kind of links along with maybe in the evening whenever you deployed it. Send me such links or such messages so that I am also confident that you are getting the hang of the different parts of App Engine, which is pretty vast, and with more time and more practice you will get the hang of using it. So there are some 4.5 chapters which are very different than the data store related. They have features which are related to App Engine, something like Memcache, some other things are there, task queues, cron jobs. So how to use those features is what we will cover tomorrow. And so let me know, just type in how do you find App Engine 3.4 we have already covered. Just send me your responses on this. How are you finding this? And I also wanted to know how you find, do you think you will be able to implement this once you have practiced it? Because few of you have not practiced it. I understand that, but now that you have seen how things are deployed on App Engine and what kind of output is expected, do you think you will be able to do it on your own? So I have 2 responses. It's interesting. 2 of them said interesting. The rest of them I have no comments to share. Please send me your comments if you're finding it interesting. Very good. And also think practical use. Does this technology have any practical use? Do you think this technology will be useful in future? By learning this technology you will gain something. Do you think so? or is it some theoretical waste? So Anjali likes it because it's based on Java. Actually, App Engine also supports Python and it also supports Go and PHP. So you can also create and deploy App Engine applications using these other languages. So I can see you have sent your attendances, mails for attendances, and also in the evening, please by evening send me at least whatever 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever applications you have deployed. Send me the links as a mail, which something like Kathy has sent me, that this is you have managed to deploy, and also you can write whatever you're liking or not liking about this course. Thank you so much. I'm out of time. I'm getting ideas to stop now. Tomorrow morning 8:30 I'll come back.